So welcome back to the next episode in the process of working on this RPG system. Update since the last one, we have got some testers in now, testing the system to see where there are some faults. I've had a couple of them find some things that I missed, which has been awesome and actually been helpful in making this get to the next stage, but it has brought up a concept that has made me start thinking in a different way than what I have previously. When I started this, I was thinking about this whole system as something that I would use. But one of the big differences in the way I've been designing this is also trying to think from the perspective of the end user. Again, in a previous video, I mentioned that my career thus far has been in the realm of teaching and marketing, and all of these areas are based on trying to understand how the end user thinks and designing around it. So it's a case of, if I am trying to sell someone something, I need to understand where they are, meet them where they're at, and then guide them to where I want them to go. But when designing an interface, it is interesting because the closest I can think of from the stuff that I've done is websites. When people get on a website, you have an idea of what you want them to do, so you have to click through in a certain order of things to get them to get to the place where you want them to go. But when I'm thinking about the interface that I'm designing now, the RPG system, I have been designing it still with this subconscious understanding that this is how I would use it. And now I'm starting to get to a point where it is a case of, I don't want to lose the value that I find in it, but I also need to start designing aspects that are more user-friendly, more designed so that anyone can grab this and start using it. And it's a different way of thinking because it is that mindset of, I know what the end result I want is. Now I need to design for it. If I want people to be using this, I need to design it so it is simple enough for them to use it. There was a saying that I had at one of my first jobs being an animator. For context, we were creating training videos. Some were very long, legal jargon. And one of the sayings that our team came up with was design for the lowest common denominator. And although that sounds kind of insulting, it's this mentality that I have kind of kept with me every time I've designed something now. If you were to give this to the stupidest person that you know, or the most incapable person, or someone whose actual mental or physical state doesn't allow them to do a certain thing, how then do you think from that perspective going, okay, what I take for granted, they do not understand or they cannot do. So how do I redesign what I'm doing to suit their needs? And that's what I'm finding now, because in the Notion system that I've set up, again, I've been going in and programming all these things. I've been writing code. I've been figuring out all of this stuff that makes sense to me because I've been in the trenches. I've been doing every single part, but now I'm realizing that it needs to be simplified. One of the hardest things when designing is to make something simple. It is very complicated to make a simple thing. But in order to do that, I need to start utilizing the aspects that people will use. So having things like buttons. It's a simple concept, but having these aspects where it's like, oh, okay, if I want to make a new quest, I have to press this button. And right now that does exist, but it's a couple layers deep. So I think what I need to do going forward before this testing phase is up is design the interface so that it has a user interaction that is both easy and simple to use, but still gives access to all of the capabilities of this system. Because right now, it is designed in a way that is very complicated. One of the biggest problems I'm having that I'm still trying to refine every time is just the lag time between updates. So if you press a button, sometimes it may take a couple of seconds before it actually goes in. And in those couple of seconds, I know that there is a struggle where people go, oh, this is broken, this is not working. And sadly, I cannot dedicate more processing power to this Notion template. But what I can do is go through and try and refine it so that it does make it easier for the end user. And in thinking about this and the feedback that I've been getting from people who have been testing this, it is one of those aspects that I realized that I was still designing for what I expected to be the base level. And And I realize now that was dumb, because how can people understand the code that they didn't write and expect that to be the base level? And it's a reminder that in life, it's very easy to get lost in your own thoughts and assume what you know is what everyone else knows. But taking a step back and going, okay, I need to probably create a tutorial level for this, where it gets someone from level 0 to level 1, but in the process, they actually learn to use the interface. So what does that look like? What does it look like to get this thing go, okay, here's the tutorial, and introduce them step by step? Is it a case of I start them off in kind of not a story-based thing, but a railroaded type experience where it is, okay, press this button, here's a little bit of story, oh, what's your name? Here's a little bit of story, oh, what's the color that you like? Because I think that could be really helpful for some people, but at the same time, I wonder if that also detracts from the experience, but that in itself is the experience, and by having that, people will be more... they'll be more connected to it because they find that they've been going through and they're invested in the actual process. I think I've just answered my question, honestly. That's one of the reasons why I decided to start making these videos, because yes, it updates you in the progress, but it actually also gives me a time to sit and think out loud, to process my thoughts. So, I guess one of the next videos you'll see is me designing a tutorial level. Well, that was a good time. That was very productive. But once again, if you guys are interested in this series, feel free to go watch the previous ones, subscribe for the next videos, and in the description there is going to be a link in which you can sign up so you have the first access for when this actually gets released. Depending on how we go, I might do another testing phase. I'm not sure. Again, I do have people testing it right now and it's been brilliant. So if I can do more of that sort of stuff to engage you guys, please write suggestions in the comments below of how you could engage with this or how you would want to engage with this, because I want this to be not just something that I'm designing for myself, but something that we as a community can use going forward to make our lives better and start progressing towards a better self. Also, if you guys had suggestions of people who are doing similar things, write those down as well, because I'm trying to gain insights from how other people are making these interfaces. I've been using a lot of references from like D&D and like video games, and I obviously have the same amount of time each day. I don't know all of the people making these sorts of things, all the games and whatnot. But if there is a game or like another YouTuber or something that you want to include in your life, or in a system that is gamified like this, or something you just find inspiring, please share it, because I want to start learning more about what you guys would also want in this sort of thing. Because, as I said, I've been going at it from the mindset of I only know what I know and trying to design from there, but having that insight over the past week from people testing has been amazing. It's been brilliant. So yeah, if you guys are interested in that sort of stuff, once again, that link is in the description below to be updated with all that sort of stuff. But yeah, once again, thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one where hopefully I will have a tutorial update.